Coming up this week, we get your take on the U.S. election results and what it will mean for Canada. Also, what issues do you feel are being overlooked in Parliament? This and much more to come. Hitting the streets, this is Outburst. Hello and welcome to Outburst. I'm Glenn McGuinness. Well, the results have caused a shockwave around the world, and the election of Donald J. Trump as the 45th U.S. president still has people talking. So we set out to get your take on this historic victory. Our question: what is your reaction to the U.S. election results?
It's really sad a sad day for women and minorities. And I just thought that it was time that the world was changing, and that it kind of seemed like it went backwards. Yeah.
I'm very surprised. I'm kind of worried, that our neighbors voted him in. However, I guess you got to give him a chance.
I think the free world lost a leader. Since World War II, the free world looked to the United States president as its leader, and I don't think the free world will be looking to that person anymore. Not for the next 4 years, anyhow.
I really think actually within the expectation for me, because I don't like both the candidates, but I can understand why the people choose the Donald Trump, because people looking for some change. Yeah, I think probably as a Canadian we just have to deal with that.
It was surprising, but I think it's a good thing.
And why is that?
Because America needs change, and I think he can do it. And it has been divided, so I think that America spoke.
I think it was fair. It seems like the Americans like Trump. I think they feel that he's very honest. All politicians share the same opinion, but I think Trump, he was able to express himself better than others. I think whatever he thinks, he just say it, but while other politicians, they just keep it for themselves. So I think he's very honest.
Biggest surprise for me is that he's basically a non-believer in climate change, and I think that's probably going to be one of the biggest struggles for people moving forward for our whole humanity.
I don't know. I was very surprised, and I just hope it works out for the best. That's all. I'm the eternal optimist.
I've been pretty depressed ever since it was announced. Really, really surprised. I think that it's a pretty hard day to be anyone except a homophobic, racist, sexist American male. I just think it's really scary. And I think it's really terrifying that he's a climate change denier, that he wants to take away powers from Congress. I just think it's absolutely terrifying. So I hope more people become activists, and I hope we, as a country, react appropriately and take a strong stance against what he's going to try to do.
I think he's going to create a lot of work for the U.S., but international affairs, I'm not too sure.
Yeah. What was your reaction when you saw him win?
I was surprised. I thought Clinton would get in, but just the end of the Clinton dynasty now, and the Rockefellers and the Kennedys, right? We got a new generation there now. Yeah. Right? I think he'll create a lot of work. He's a businessman.
It's going to be an interesting time, I think. I don't really like it that much, but the democratic process has spoken, and you have to deal with it. I think it's going to be interesting to find out if he can actually do any of the promises that he wants to do, like build the wall. And if he can't do it, what's the reaction going to be for all the people who voted for him?
Donald Trump is the president. The democratic process worked the way it was supposed to work. He did win the vote. I must say that some of the things he said during his campaign were extremely distasteful and alarming, and I'm not in agreement with those, but I would go on to say that hopefully he will surround himself with the right people and do what is in the best interest of the country and Americans at large. And I think he will rise to the occasion and do much what President Reagan did in 1980, and hopefully surprise a lot of people, not only with domestic programs, but with our foreign policy, which needs serious evaluation.
Personally, I don't think he's qualified. He's an excellent businessman, probably. With regards to governmental experience, he has none. So time will tell how things will work out. He's got 4 years to prove himself. Hopefully everything will go well, but you never know.
I mean, it's pretty disappointing. I was hoping for a different outcome, that's for sure. And it sucks that Hillary got the most votes, but for some reason their electoral college system still means that Donald Trump got in, so that was pretty disappointing. But I hope that it just means we can all kind of come together and work harder and push through it. Whether he lasts 4 years or not, we'll see.
I believe a change is good. Now, might not be necessarily the right character or whatever, but the Republicans is the party that is going to run the show, not Trump, obviously.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of trouble down there now, to be honest. I know a lot of people are nervous what Trump's going to be doing, but at the same time, you know, there's a lot of people that are going to also be putting the reins on him when they can. So it's going to be an interesting time, to say the least.
How many Canadian provinces do not border the United States? 2, 3, or 4?
2.
2.
Yeah, I'd say 2.
2? 2. 3.
3 is the answer. Very good.
Thank you.
Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador do not share a border with the U.S. The first thing on many people's minds following Trump's surprise victory is what effect it will have here in Canada. Trump has stated publicly he plans to renegotiate NAFTA. His strategies could have a dramatic effect on climate policy as well as how business is done at our border. So once again, we take the topic to you. Our question: what impact will a Trump presidency have on Canada?
There's always that notion that when the U.S. have a cold, we cough. So if they do good, we do good. If they do bad, then it's bad for us. Whatever is good for the U.S. is good for us. I don't think there is a distinction where Canada will do better than the U.S. or the U.S. will do better. I think it's linked because, I mean, we do most of the trade with the U.S. at the moment. So when the economy is good for the U.S., then it's good for Canada.
It's hard to say. It's so hard to say. I mean, you know, I see the biggest threat to the environment. Although there is huge momentum being made already towards that, and there's huge room for growth and people to make money. So maybe that's the saving grace.
I think it's quite unpredictable because he's unpredictable. I mean, Trudeau offered congratulations right off the bat, so hopefully Mr. Trump has enough people to guide him in order to turn him into an appropriate diplomat.
Mass immigration to Canada. I think we'll see a big influx of people. I think trade's going to be affected. He wants out of NAFTA. That's terrifying. I think we're going to see stock markets fall. I think we'll have an economic impact. I think just a general sense of fear is something that we're going to feel. And I just feel really bad for, a very negative impact, I think.
To tell you the truth, probably not a lot. You know, we're still one of the biggest trading partners with the U.S., and I don't think that's going to change. And I think short term, depending, I don't know what the stock market has done, but perhaps short term there could be some things that will affect us, but I just don't know.
I was just discussing that with someone, and a Canadian. As you may tell from my accent, I'm an American, and I believe, and geez, I hope nobody throws a tomato at me, but I believe that ultimately it will be in the better interest of Canada. Only time will tell. I think that he makes a lot of sense. I think what has to be commented on is he's not against immigration. He's against illegal immigration. And quite frankly, if he used the Canadian model, I would be quite happy if he used the Canadian model of immigration, because it's stringent. They vet out the candidates, and all we're looking for, I believe, in the United States is to be, somewhat protected to make sure that the right people are getting in.
Hard to say. He's talking about tearing up NAFTA, the trade agreements, things of that nature. We'll see what comes out of that, if he's true to his word. If it's just blowing hot air, who knows? We'll find out in time.
I don't know. Justin Trudeau has been pretty open about saying he'll work with whoever got in, which is kind of nice. That's kind of our attitude towards everything. We're pretty positive in general, but hopefully it doesn't impact us too much in a negative way, that we can kind of work with him as best we can, but not let him kind of force our hand or do anything unreasonable that we wouldn't want to do, which I don't think will happen. I think we'll kind of stand our own.
On Canada, I'm hoping that it won't be bad economically. As far as friendly relations, I think Justin Trudeau's been very cautious about that, and he'll be able to work with Donald Trump, I think. And that's what I'm hoping anyway.
I think it might affect, that's a good question, our trade, economics. The Clintons worked hard on the free trade. Definitely, I think Donald was talking about ending that. And I think the attitude will definitely sweep up here. Small town Canada is kind of the same attitude as small town America in many ways.
I think that there's a lot of fear here in terms of what is going to happen. I know, my partner works in a place where NAFTA is a really important thing to them, and so having that, can be disbanded within 6 months, is that going to be good? Is if the commits on his promises, what's going to happen there? What's going to happen to our trade with the United States? What's going to happen with our with Americans wanting to come here? If that's the case, if they're wanting to come up here, we can't have them all come just because they don't like the decision that was made in their country. So it's a little bit scary, I think.
He's threatening to change around NAFTA or get rid of it. That's pretty significant in and of itself. Of course, I think another important thing is going to be the perception of Canadians and, of our neighbors down south. And hopefully that doesn't change too much for the negative. That's what I'm hoping.
That, too, will be kind of interesting to see how far he'll go in terms of throwing out NAFTA or... I know he spoke to the Prime Minister already, and, just the way he campaigned and the way his policies didn't really have much basis in reality, it's very difficult to know how far he'll go in any one direction. But he wants to succeed, so I don't think he'll do anything too rash. I hope not.
Who succeeded Kim Campbell as Prime Minister in 1993? Jean Chrétien, Paul Martin, Brian Mulroney.
Brian Mulroney.
Oh, yeah, Brian Mulroney.
Jean Chrétien.
Jean Chrétien.
Paul Martin.
Oh, Jean Chrétien. Jean Chrétien.
Jean Chrétien. Very good.
Oh, okay. That was a random guess.
Canada's first female Prime Minister, Kim Campbell, was succeeded by Jean Chrétien following the October 25th, 1993 federal election. Canada is one of the more developed countries in the world, but like many other first world nations, we still struggle with homelessness. It is estimated that roughly 235,000 Canadians will experience homelessness in their lifetime, and a further 35,000 are homeless on any given night. So, how do we bring these numbers down? Our question: what are your ideas to better assist the homeless population in Canada?
That's a tough question. I think that they just keep throwing money sort of at money. I don't think just adding more money isn't the answer. I'm not sure. That's, again, a tough question. I just don't think you should be throwing money at money to solve the problem. I think there's got to be better answers out there, and I think talking to the homeless themselves as to how to get the right answers for that question, because they're the ones on the street. They know what they need. They know how to get it.
You know, I think this is an everlasting theme here, but some people don't want to believe it, but homelessness is a direct result of mental illness and drug issues. I think that mental illness needs to be dealt with in a more proper manner. I think that people need to take it a lot more seriously. And a lot of people, there's a lot of tough love that goes on in the generations a little bit older than me that doesn't really need to be there in today's society. I think that we need to take mental health issues seriously, and we need to take drugs seriously. Drugs are very prominent in today's society, and there's certain ones that are causing trouble, and there's certain ones that need to be more readily accessible for people, and with that kind of reform, I think would help homelessness.
I think we need to build more sustainable and cost-efficient housing. I think we need more mixed housing. We don't need to build ghettos, as has been done in most of the major cities around this country. We've managed to ghettoize the poor and the disadvantaged and create slums by doing so. When you put large numbers of people who are disenfranchised and poor in small areas, well, big surprise is going to be crime. We need affordable housing across this country, and we need governments to step up to the plate and say, look, if you're a developer and you're going to build this area, this percentage of this area needs to be dedicated towards people who can't afford regular prices on housing. We can't rely on charities like Habitat for Humanity, but they have the right idea. They go in and they put 4 or 5 houses in an area where, you know, everybody else is, we'll say, middle class, and nobody objects to that. I haven't heard anybody objecting to Habitat for Humanity. Why isn't government engaging in stuff like this? I don't understand that.
Better assist the homeless population in Canada. Now, that's an interesting one. That's one I don't think about very much. There's lots of studies, there's lots of people out there on the front lines combating homelessness. And homelessness is a big problem. But basically, I think it comes down to the people who are on the front lines. Those are the people we should be talking to, and not forming government committees to scrutinize these little minutiae and stuff like that. I think we should be talking to people on the front line and see what their ideas are.
I'm not sure this flows all right, but I think transit is a problem for a lot of the housing alternatives. So I think transit should be free for all, and therefore you could make housing more spread out if necessary rather than high density. I certainly don't like to see groups of people warehoused together, either old, either infirm, either mentally constrained. I'd like to see a mixture in any kind of housing thing. And so I think transit has a part to play in that. So, but it's a very complex issue. I want people to feel safe. Both the people who are underrepresented, marginalized. I don't think I'm very good at my attitude towards it. I'd like to be able to learn more. So, anyway, it's a tough one.
I think there's a huge assessment that needs to be done. I think the majority of our homeless, especially what we see here, has a lot to do with the mental health situation that we have here. And we don't have the help or the services that can provide what these people need to make them productive, wanted members of the society. And I think if they had that support and that help, we'd have a lot less homeless people.
Because I feel the finances are not being directed in the proper place to help them in that. And I think there's a lot of housing developments and that are being torn down or whatever that could be fixed up and renovated to help with that population, but they also need to put in mental health supports and stuff and other supports as well to help to give them foundation so that they can have a good starting point and move on, and then they can help others as well.
That's a big problem. I don't know. I think education, get them young, help them out, help people out as much as you can. But it's a problem that's taken years and years to develop. I don't think it's a problem that goes away without a long-term strategy and a plan.
I think we need to give homeless people dignity, and I think you have dignity when you have a roof over your head. So if we give people a place where they can stay, where they can call home, where they feel they can belong, I think that will deal with some of the issues. Not all of the issues, but I think that's a start.
Parliamentarians definitely have their work cut out for them. And while they tackle many issues in the House of Commons, it's very difficult to have everything looked at or looked after. That can make many people or special interest groups feel left out in the process. So we set out with this question. What issues do you feel are being overlooked in Parliament?
Oh, that's a good one. We elect the government to look after its people, and right now it's not doing a very good job of the disadvantaged, low-income people. The whole child care benefit is it's sort of an exercise in social conscience. We'll see how that goes, but right now it's leaving the lower class behind.
Health promotion, disease prevention. So we're putting billions of dollars into a health system, and to repair people, to get them back into their homes and back working, back with their families, but spending so little on preventing disease and looking at healthy lifestyles. And working in a hospital, and I walk in the front door, I have to go through clouds of smoke on the street where healthcare workers and patients and families are out smoking, and then we go inside and we actually work in fundraising for hospitals to raise money to help people who are ill where they could be helping themselves. That, to me, we've got to flip-flop that around, especially in the Maritimes. Our health statistics are the worst in Canada. We need to change that. And I think there's a real appetite to do that, but I think it starts with leadership, and I'd love to see a focus on health promotion and disease prevention with our tax dollars.
I'm a student, so I'm going to say university students' issues. Right now I'm in a whole lot of debt, and it seems like there's always a lot of talk of things happening, but there's nothing really going on.
Well, I think the homeless is a big thing that's being overlooked, and the mental, the whole issue around mental health and all of that. They're putting a lot of words and talk to it, but it's just blowing smoke, basically, is what I feel that they're doing. So they need to do a lot more there. And a lot of the social development and stuff needs to be looked at and stuff, to help people along. And that give them a better foundation and a better basis and stuff. So, yeah.
I think very basic issues like poverty, issues of race, issues of inclusiveness. We're looking always at the big picture. We're looking at CETA. We're looking at globalization. We're looking at, ties with China. But if people are poor, they're disenfranchised, they don't vote, and it changes the way whether we have a democratic system or not.
Issues related to fishing, issues related to the sea and the water and the environment, the air, issues related to the factors that are being imposed upon us by other countries. The foreign fleets taking whatever fish they want in waters that really are ours to manage. But we aren't really enforcing anything. We're not really doing anything about the way other parties are harvesting and polluting. And an example would be the sale of the Voisey's Bay property. Newfoundland didn't, when that ore body was sold, Newfoundland didn't get any taxation benefit from it. We just got out of the way of all the companies that wanted to take it. So we really are doing a pretty poor job of protecting what we already have and keeping companies from just taking it.
Well, I'm from the West, so right now, obviously, I feel that the issue that's being overlooked is the issue as to how to get the oil to the market in order to provide opportunities for jobs, which the West and out here have lost. As far as bringing the immigrants to Canada, that's a great idea, but I think we also have enough issues going on within Canada that they need to do more of a balance when they're designating funds for that. So I think those are the two big issues right now.
Well, what's important to me is quality of life. So I think ultimately quality of life comes down to civil rights and betterment of the entire population. So I think that it's really important, like we were just talking about homelessness, because I think that plays a large part of anybody that's living in an urban center. It plays a part of their day. And I think the legalization of marijuana is a really important topic these days. And I don't think that's being overlooked. I think the Trudeau government is taking a pretty good stance on it. But it's been overlooked for quite some time because of the powers that be didn't want it to be legalized.
They need to do a lot more on the environment and on Aboriginal issues, which is something they campaigned on, and it seems like, especially up in Muskrat Falls, that, you got Nick Whalen coming out and saying people should eat less fish. I mean, that's ridiculous for someone who's supposed to be up there representing Newfoundland to be telling Canadians to eat less fish. We should be telling people to eat more fish. That'll get a lot more people back to work in Newfoundland. If more Canadians ate fish every single day and, clean up the environment and don't be a dirtbag and stand by what you say you're going to do when you get elected.
When were women recruited as RCMP officers for the first time? 1964, 1974, or 1984?
1984?
I would hope it's 64, but who knows?
I'd say 84.
I'd go for the lower number, 64.
1984.
74? I don't know, I'm just guessing.
1974.
Oh, great. All right.
You did really well today.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
On May 23rd, 1974, RCMP Commissioner M.J. Nadeau made an announcement that the RCMP would begin accepting applications from women for regular police duties. That's all for this episode of Outburst. Like what you see? Well, you can watch more episodes on our website at www.cpac.ca, on our YouTube channel, and also on our CPAC TV to Go app. You can also join the conversation via social media on Twitter and Instagram at CPAC_TV. I'm Glenn McGuinness, and on behalf of all my colleagues at the Cable Public Affairs channel, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.